The nights are coming earlier and the days are getting colder, with the promise of a few flurries falling on the concrete warrens of Tokyo. It can only mean one thing: Christmas is coming to the Japanese capital. A purely secular holiday for the vast majority in Japan, Christmas is nonetheless a prime day for celebration, even if mostly as an excuse to string up multicolored lights, grab a cake from 7-Eleven and a bucket of chicken from KFC, and go out on expensive date nights. And for those looking for a Japanese film to add to your seasonal rotation, one stands above them all: renowned director Kon Satoshi's anime Christmas classic, Tokyo Godfathers.
この子は神様がくださったクリスマスプレゼント。私たちの子供よ。
Debuting in Japanese theaters in 2003, Tokyo Godfathers was a marked departure for Kon. An auteur of the highest order, his previous two films, Perfect Blue from 1997 and Millennium Actress from 2001, were noted for their blending of the real and unreal, moving from grounded scenes to surrealistic, hallucinatory imagery, constantly asking the audience to decipher which was which. His future TV series, Paranoia Agent in 2004, and final film, Paprika in 2006, would take these mind-bending, often sinister flights of fantasy to new heights. Smack in the middle of these hallucinatory outings is Tokyo Godfathers, a comparatively grounded, hilarious, and even downright wholesome Christmas film. Well, it may be wholesome in outcome and message, but it's pretty far from being a squeaky clean Hallmark film. It's a film about family, but it's not exactly fit for the whole family. Tokyo Godfathers is the Christmas-set story of three homeless Tokyoites: middle-aged drunk Gin, trans woman Hana, and runaway Miyuki. The three struggle to get by, existing as a sort of dysfunctional found family, living out of cardboard shanties in a park in the shadow of Shinjuku's Tokyo Metropolitan Government Building. On Christmas Eve, while sifting through recycling, they chance upon an abandoned baby. Their journey to bring the baby back to its parents draws them into a series of semi-miraculous adventures through the Tokyo underworld and beyond. The result is a bona fide Christmas classic. Tokyo Godfathers starts with a sermon half-heartedly attended by a group of the unhoused and ends with salvation. It blends mediums and genres, creating one of Japan's most unique films and an excitingly atypical holiday tale from one of the greatest anime directors of all time. In a 2002 interview, Kon said, "It's a different taste than my previous two movies. It doesn't mix unreality and reality in the same way. I'd call it a twisted tale of human empathy." Kon served as director, creator, and co-scriptwriter. He was joined by screenwriter Nobumoto Keiko, notable for her roles as head writer on the anime classic Cowboy Bebop and as creator of Wolf's Rain. Kon called Nobumoto his drinking buddy and said she brought a warm, kind lens when creating characters to his love of tricky, sneaky structures. The two of them set off to create a story combining elements of a shelved Kon concept called Tokyo Ghost, a supernatural mystery about a homeless man who meets the spirit of a deceased young woman, and the Hollywood classic Three Godfathers. Kon read deeply on the topic of homelessness, adding elements of real stories he encountered. Unlike in his previous two films, the main focus here would be characters. Nobumoto would be invaluable in crafting the individualistic and deeply drawn personages in question. Meanwhile, Kon made the initial character designs himself. His goal was to make them as physically distinctive as possible. Kon reportedly was not a big fan of how so many anime characters kind of facially look the same to each other, with only colored hair and clothing to really distinguish them. He then set his characters within a living, breathing, animated Tokyo. Now, I've lived here in Tokyo for over 5 years total, first time back in 2009, and as someone who's lived here for a long time and, in Japan, double that length, it's really pretty incredible how well this film inhabits the city of Tokyo. You can actually unironically use the cliche, New York was like a character in the film, with New York City replaced by the Japanese capital. Kon goes beyond the surface though, showing us Tokyo on the fringes, by turns vibrant and dingy. This is the Tokyo the tourism board wants to draw you away from, of people teetering on the edge of poverty and living on the streets. It's a Tokyo where the nightlife world of hostesses and drag bars intersect with organized crime and gambling, where the debt-hounded slip away into the night, disappearing to places where creditors can't find them. This is all more appropriate for a film about the unhoused who have to exist in the urban environment much more directly than most of us do.
さらに美術監督池がこだわったのはゴミ袋。膨大な人であふれかえる東京だからこそ、そこに広がる風景は美しいものだけではない。眠らない街東京が吐き出すゴミと光、光もまた池が大いにこだわった点だという。
There are shades here of more recent directors like Sean Baker, creator of films about people on the fringes like Tangerine, The Florida Project, and Red Rocket. Baker's films also contain honest and at times humorous depictions of poverty and intersections with nightlife and sex work. The difference with Tokyo Godfathers is the extremely optimistic view it takes. Godfathers shows a grimy reality twinned with a story of lucky breaks, found family ties, even heroism. Kon perfectly meshes realism and surrealism, human tragedy, and zany humor.
Hana!
The universe bends and contorts to draw our down-under-luck heroes towards the saving of a single baby and the redemption of us all. Even the buildings of Tokyo seem to express pleasure or distress at the goings-on. Gin, Hana, Miyuki, and baby Kyoko journey from their humble homes in Shinjuku all the way across the Sumida River to Kinshicho. Back across the river, the orange glow of Tokyo Tower dominates. Scenes are set in convenience stores and family restaurants, snack bars, and unfinished high-rises. Cardboard encampments become welcoming homes. It's a Tokyo that anyone who's lived here can recognize, but it's also not one that's usually depicted. All this takes place within a snowy December backdrop. Christmas and the New Year's season are the direct settings, referenced from the sermon that starts the film until the story's conclusion on New Year's Day. The imagery of angels, whether the angelic baby Kyoko or a bewinged drag club hostess, is numerous. The movie's themes include redemption, grace, salvation, and divine providence. With its constant background refrains of Ode to Joy and early rendition of Holy Night, the Christmas theming is surprisingly deep. And all this is from a director who most likely wasn't Christian, working for a film audience that certainly wasn't. Tokyo Godfathers is actually shockingly Christmas-oriented, and in a way that secularized Japanese Christmas doesn't usually allow for. Gin, Hana, and Miyuki are essentially the three magi, trumpeting the birth of the pure child, Kyoko. This makes sense given Kon's inspiration from John Ford's 1948 Three Godfathers. That film features three cowboys who rescue a newborn, with one of the lot self-comparing to the three wise men. As an example of how far this version of Christmas is from the usual Japanese experience, Miyuki's voice actress Okamoto Aya asked Kon about his own celebratory style for Christmas during a press interview.
Tokyo Godfathers で雪が降ってるクリスマスじゃないですか。東京に雪が降ってる。クリスマスはどういう風に過ごしてるんですか？
大抵乾杯ってガーって酒飲んでる。
あ、じゃあみんなで割と大勢で。
そういう方がですね。なんかほらこういうロケーションでね、君の瞳に乾杯みたいな、そういうのないです。
ないんです。
どうなんですかそういうクリスマス。
私はクリスマスって意外と仕事してることが多くて。
そうだよねきっとね。
でもやっぱ夜とかはなんか一人で家で体育座りしてたりとかすることも結構あったり。
寂しいじゃないそれ。
Aya, for her part, talking about how she's mostly worked on Christmas days is a good example of how many people here spend the holiday, which of course is not a regular day off. In a film full of warmly depicted characters, one stands out. Hana, a down-on-her-luck trans woman and former hostess. Hana is a particularly notable character for having emerged all the way back in 2003, which, by the way, is a long time ago these days. Her depiction is sympathetic, theatrical, and funny. While other characters often say snide things about her, she emerges as the single most relatable, entertaining, and heroic person in the film. Her unflappable English-language rendition of Climb Every Mountain from The Sound of Music is iconic.
Climb every mountain.
何それ?
Sound music じゃないの?
No wonder Hana has become something of a cult film hero for many in the international trans community. Hana's tragic fall from nightlife personage, in a marginalized niche at that, into homelessness is sadly believable. Tokyo Godfathers presents other pathways to homelessness in Japan as well. Regretful Gin is a former gambler whose debts resulted in him abandoning his family. This type of sudden disappearance is known in Japanese as johatsu, evaporation. Many of those living rough in Tokyo are people who felt the need to disappear. Bad debts, criminal convictions, bankruptcies, domestic violence, or personal scandals all can drive people to evaporate. An entire cottage industry exists around helping people disappear, assisting in moving house and identity in the dead of the night. Unseen Japan regular contributor Jake Adelstein has a great podcast series on this very topic, Evaporated, Gone with the Gods. Tokyo Godfathers depicts additional marginalized Tokyo communities. One of the film's many providential twists brings Miyuki to the home of Latino immigrants. Foreigners, often portrayed as walking jokes or stereotypes, "Why Japanese people? Why?" are instead here treated warmly, even if one is a paid mob assassin. Both Latino characters even speak Spanish, dubbed in the Japanese version by native speakers.
Aunque no lo parezca, es el padre de la niña. Es como un niño grande.
That Miyuki can only think to respond in her own broken English is hilarious and very real.
Thank you very much.
I could keep on heaping praise onto the themes and the setting and everything here, but the reality is that, perhaps more importantly, this movie is just fun. There's never a dull moment here. Each scene sets up our characters, their dynamics, with plot threads primed for payoff. Scenes are deeply humorous or emotionally resonant. The pacing is immaculate, leading to a surprisingly thrilling story climax. All this is done within a context where the movie gets to have its cake and eat it too. It's a film built around ridiculous coincidences, but this structure never feels cheap. It feels, instead, exciting. I treasure Tokyo Godfathers all the more for being one of Kon Satoshi's few films. He only completed 4 films before his death at the all-too-young age of 46. With Perfect Blue debuting in 1997 and his last film Paprika in 2006, his directorial career was shockingly short. So we only received 9 years of Kon films, and yet each of his 4 movies and sole TV series are classics. It's hard to beat that batting average. Tokyo Godfathers is a particularly Japanese film, a celebration of Tokyo, and yet also a gift to all film-going mankind. So grab some eggnog, or as Gin might prefer, sake, and sit back for a viewing, and thank Kon Satoshi for the enduring Christmas gift that is Tokyo Godfathers. Alright Mina, thanks for watching this one. I'm in the middle of production on a larger historical series right now, the first part of which has been published in article form on our website, but after revisiting Tokyo Godfathers the other night, I figured it would be worth getting a quick video out on this classic and personal favorite. It had actually been around 10 years since I last saw it, and man can you appreciate Kon's films more as you gain more life experience. The world is very different than it was in 2003, but the movie feels very ahead of its time. And while longtime viewers here will know that I didn't exactly grow up celebrating Christmas, it's still an all-encompassing seasonal thing in the United States and here in Japan, with much to appreciate. Tokyo Godfathers is a must-watch for that season. If you enjoyed this video, consider a like and subscribing, or even supporting us directly on Patreon. Link is below. I'll be back again soon, so until then, Happy Hanukkah and Merry Christmas. Mata ne.
Climb every mountain.
何それ
Follow every street.
ったく余計腹が減るじゃねえか。
Every rainbow. Till you find your dream.